Rodriguez joins us now with the very latest on the 5 people shot to death in North Las Vegas. Ambar?
You know, Latoya, the North Las Vegas PD detectives actually are still on scene here, where they say they found 5 people dead in 2 different areas. Now, this is at the Craig Ranch Villas, and police say they responded to reports of a shooting around 10 last night. When they arrived to the complex, officers found 2 women in 1 unit who were shot. The women, one in her early 40s, the other in her late 50s, were pronounced dead. In that same unit, police found a 13-year-old girl who was also shot. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition. During their investigation, police say they found 3 other people shot in a separate apartment unit. Now, those people were, one was 2 women, both in their mid-20s, and a man in his early 20s. And they were all pronounced dead at the scene. I spoke with a few neighbors who were shocked to hear about the devastating news.
I heard that 5 or 6 people gotten shot, and that's very shocking to me.
Those are people's sisters and brothers and sons and things like that, and they are grieving now. They have to go through a process of grieving because they've lost their loved ones.
Now, police identified the suspect in these deaths as 47-year-old Eric Adams. When police located Adams earlier this morning and tried to take him into police custody, they say that he shot and killed himself. Now, the motive is still unknown. We have several questions still remaining, but as you can see, detectives with North Las Vegas Police are still investigating this scene. We'll bring you the latest as everything unfolds on air and online as news3lv.com. For now, reporting live from North Las Vegas, Ambar Rodriguez. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Ambar, thank you so much. We want to quickly turn over now to what's happening at Metro headquarters. They're discussing a police shooting right now.
Yeah, this shooting happened last week in downtown Las Vegas, and a man was shot and killed by Metro officers after refusing to drop his gun. Let's listen in.
The subject was identified as Seth Wilson. He was a 49-year-old white male adult, 5'9", and weighed about 180 pounds. He is pictured to my left. The subject was armed with a .223 Sturm Ruger rifle. You can see a picture of his weapon to my left. The following are the subject's charges had he survived: 2 counts assault with a deadly weapon on a protected person, 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count resisting a public officer with a firearm. The details of the officer-involved shooting are as follows. On June 20th, 2024, at approximately 12:07 p.m., LVMPD Communications Center received several phone calls from citizens regarding a male, later identified as Wilson, who was armed with a rifle in an apartment complex and was heard yelling threats to kill. We will now play that 911 call for you.
Thursday, June 20, 2024, 12:21 and 17 seconds.
911 emergency crisis 17128. Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Police.
What address do you need the police to?
I have notified our local security team that was supposed to be called first, and they're apparently on the case, but I'm calling you guys also. I had just got home to my apartment about 20-25 minutes ago. Walked in my door, which you have to scan the key to get in the front door, and as soon as I open the door, which it is on camera, and they'll be able to see this, there's a guy, I mean, I can't even believe what the heck I'm saying right now. A guy standing there pointing a rifle, semi-automatic rifle, at the door, basically where my head just was, and I you know, I'm thinking, it's fake, this can't even be real. He's got a red Make America Great hat on, bearded gentleman, 55 to 65 years old, jeans, I think, and I just set up the hat, and I got to get to my second floor apartment, and I just skipped every other step, praying I wasn't going to get shot in the back, and I kind of glanced down, he was still at the door. I'm hearing the door going in and out. I was just like, I was going to kick my screen out of the second floor and climb out the window. Like, the guy's got a rifle.
We will now show you the surveillance video of the 911 caller who had the encounter with Wilson. could see Wilson to the right. When officers arrived, they began searching for the suspect. Officers determined the male lived in a third-floor apartment. A sergeant on scene was able to contact Wilson by phone. The sergeant began a dialogue with him, instructing him to surrender peacefully. After several moments, Wilson said, in quotes, "I'm done with this," and hung up. Minutes later, Wilson exited the apartment holding a rifle with the muzzle pointed towards the ceiling. Officers gave Wilson multiple verbal commands to drop the rifle. Wilson then lowered the muzzle of the rifle towards the officers who were standing in the hallway. Both officers discharged their duty weapons, striking the subject, causing him to collapse. Immediately after the officer-involved shooting, officers moved forward, placed him into custody, and summoned for medical attention. Despite all the medical intervention, Wilson was pronounced deceased on scene. We will now play the body-worn camera for you.
Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it.
As you can see, the subject was in the hallway holding the rifle. Now, this concludes our briefing. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, George for Channel 3. When we spoke to a couple of witnesses last week, they told us that.
All right, so you were just listening in to Metro telling us about a police shooting that happened last week, and we learned a lot there. We not only got to see the face of the suspect in question, who is no longer with us. Police officers shot him, but we also got to hear that 911 call. Pretty chilling, Dana, to hear that person saying how they thought about possibly pushing out a window to escape from the second floor.
Yeah, and we also saw the video, which was compelling as well, right? This man named Seth Wilson holding a rifle on the third floor of the old Alpine Motel Apartments. If that sounds familiar, that was the site of the fire that killed numerous people in December of 2019. So that was the scene of the crime, and officers obviously displaying exactly why they had to open fire that day, because they had a man who was upset, who was holding a rifle at the scene as well. That's when officers showed up, ordered him to drop his rifle, and he did not.
Of course, we have a crew inside. You heard one of our photojournalists asking a question there. We'll learn more about what they were able to discern from the question and answer section of this news conference. In the meantime, we want to move on to some other things that are happening as well, including another officer-involved shooting that took place. This one happened near Lake Mead and Rancho just this morning. Now, according to police, all officers are okay, and the suspect has been taken into custody. Police say this started as a home burglary, and when police arrived, they found the suspect at another residence armed with a knife, fighting with the resident. And here's what police say happened next.
Officers observed a physical altercation between a citizen and the subject, who was armed with a knife. Officers gave verbal commands for the subject to drop the knife. As the physical altercation continued, an officer discharged his duty weapon, striking the subject. Medical assistance was provided to the subject until medical personnel arrived. The subject was transported to the hospital where he is currently at.
The names of the officers involved in this shooting will be released later on in this investigation.
And we pushed out all of these breaking news stories via social media on our app. You should download it right now. It's News 3 LV, and you'll be up to date on all breaking news stories here in the Las Vegas Valley.
News 3, always your weather authority. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Ophelia Young for a look at this forecast. It includes the heat, of course, and humidity.
Heat, humidity, and the combination of those things during this monsoon season, the start of anyway, resulted in some thunderstorms this afternoon. The biggest one sitting right over the McCullough Range for the last 3 hours, since noon actually. And right now you're looking at it from our camera up at the D down to the McCullough Range, where you can see that storm fizzing out but still active and producing lightning as it sits just south of Henderson. Looks like it's also delivering a few drops of rain to the foothills of Henderson, especially out in the east part of that town. Now, it looks like this storm not really going to go anywhere. It'll probably just fizz out over the mountain there, but as it does so, produce outflow winds that produce the lifting for a couple other storms in the region. So other parts of the Central Valley did get a couple drops of rain, but currently we are watching a couple weak systems that is developing in the Southwest Valley now. This pretty much should be it. We should have some drier weather for dinner time, but during dinner time also the clouds will clear, allowing that sun to reach the ground again, reloading our valley for the potential for thunderstorms. And what's going to set it off is maybe some outflow winds, this time from Mojave County. So we do have a returning chance of thunderstorms from 9 o'clock tonight to 2 in the morning. So we'll talk a little bit more about what to expect tonight in my full weather forecast. For now, we're going to toss it back to the desk.
All right, thanks so much, Ophelia. The man accused of murder in the 1996 death of rapper Tupac Shakur remains behind bars despite putting up money for bail. 60-year-old Duane Keffe Davis faced a judge this morning to explain the source of that money. News 3's Denise Roche is now following the developments and has the latest from the Regional Justice Center.
Yeah, we learned today that that bail money is a gift from a personal friend of Duane Davis, a man named Cash Jones, also known as WAC 100 in the entertainment industry. Now, he calls Davis a monumental figure in the community, a man he's known for 8 years.
In my travels over the last 25 years of coming from the gang life and making my exit from being a gang banger, anybody that I meet that's willing to sit down with me and be cordial and be respectful, I'm going to consider a good friend.
But prosecutors say this is all a fraud, that Jones is hoping to make money off Davis's story, and that is why he is posting bail, that the two men have a contract. Davis was arrested in September, accused of being the shot caller in the murder of Tupac Shakur in 1996. His attorney, Carl Arnold, says Duane Davis's health is failing in jail, and although he has offers constantly to sell his story, there is no contract with Cash Jones. Here's what Arnold has to say about the judge taking this case under advisement.
The first thing that she was concerned about were the financial records. The financial records are already in her possession. They show that the $112,500 came out of this gentleman's account. So that part of her concerns are going to be taken care of. The second part, as to whether there's some kind of agreement between Mr. Jones and my client, well, there's nothing that has been produced.
So for now, Duane Davis does remain behind bars, but his attorney is confident that he should be released in the next few days or so. Either way, trial is set for November. Denise Roche, News 3.
Denise, and if you saw this video in the past, no doubt you'll remember this one forever. That's a man jumping over a desk here in a local courtroom, attacking that judge. Well, the man accused of this attack appeared in a courtroom again this morning. Diabra Redden, his name, facing a charge of attempted murder and battery with substantial bodily harm. And you can see they're taking no chances with him these days inside these courtrooms, with bailiffs surrounding him. Prosecutors say they are still waiting for the defense experts' report on Redden's psychiatric evaluation. The defense team waiting for some court records here. Another hearing has been set up for August the 27th. The trial is still set for September the 3rd.
Coming up, the Life is Beautiful block party lineup now unveiled. Find out who will perform at the scaled down event.
And we are going road tripping this afternoon. We're taking you to Cedar City, Utah. That's coming up at 3:30. Two fires here in the valley under investigation this afternoon. The first one happened just before 9:30 this morning at the Thousand Trails Mobile Home Park on Boulder Highway. Everybody inside was able to get out safely. And the second at a home near Trop and Boulder Highway. Nobody injured inside the home, but a firefighter was taken to the hospital for a strained knee.
Another horrific crash takes another life this morning. This time it was a child. The latest fatal crash happening just after midnight near US 95 in Tropicana. All lanes are currently closed from Tropicana to Russell. Multiple cars were involved in this crash, one of them rolling over. 2 adults and 2 juveniles recovering in the hospital now with non-life-threatening injuries. We're still following what happened here, so stay with News 3 for more updates. Nevada State Police also investigating a fatal crash on the I-15 near State Line. Police say this happened just before 11:30. The crash involved a single motorcyclist who died at the scene. There are lanes shut down in the area as police investigate. So if you're heading out of town, you'll want to prepare for some extra delays.
And breaking news from the live desk, we take you to Southern California, about 30 miles north of San Diego. This is the Del Mar area. And as you can see, this brush fire is fully involved right now. They say it is burning near structures. We see fire suppression aircraft above it right now, dropping fire retardant on it, trying to contain this thing. This is burning not far from the Del Mar racetrack, which is set to open here in just a few days.
Wow. Well, as we continue to look at that, we're also looking at our own forecast. Here, the main headline is the heat and the humidity.
Yeah, and things are popping out there this
Yeah,
afternoon. Maybe our first summer thunderstorm of the year, right?
That was our first summer thunderstorm of the year, and it produced a lot of lightning. And of course, now that we have lightning in the region, fire is a concern, a real concern now. But we did get our first storm today, and it was beautiful. Let's take a look at this time lapse, those convective clouds rolling in from the south. Take a look at the left of your screen there. That's a storm that developed over Black Mountain in the McCullough Range. You could see it just sat out there since noon. And here's another closer look at that as we moved our camera further out to the southeast. It was still going for about 3 hours, only recently started to fizz out, but still active with lightning that continues to be produced even right now. It did produce, according to satellite estimates, 2, maybe even 3 inches of rain at the very, very peak of that range. But in the foothills of West Henderson, maybe about 1/10 to 1/3 of an inch of rain there over the last couple of hours. So that storm is fizzing out as it speaks, still producing lightning though. So if you're in that region, definitely go indoors when you hear thunder roar. That's what we always say to keep safe from thunder. But it looks like as it fizzes out, it's still producing just a little bit of rain in the Henderson area right now, and it should be out of there within the next hour or so. It producing some outflow gusts earlier this afternoon, so maybe a couple pop-up storms that just dropped a few drops of rain in the valley. Right now, there is one weak cell that is in the southwest valley, so maybe the very, very southwest edge of the valley could be getting a few drops of rain at the moment. Now, this is what's going to happen later on this evening. Monsoon moisture continues to be pushed up the Colorado River and into our region. In the meantime, as those storms from this afternoon fizz out, dinner time will be quiet, but the storm clouds will clear. We'll get some sun that'll reach the ground again. And what that'll potentially do is reload our area for thunderstorm potential for any outflow gusts to provide that lifting and set off some more storms tonight. So there is a returning 10% chance of storms from about 9 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And how about tomorrow? It looks like that convective potential moves out to the east. And the only spots I'm worried about tomorrow is the mountains. They'll have a slight chance for storms. I'm talking maybe 10%. Here in the valley, very, very off chance that they slide into our region here in the valley. So over the next 7 days, just one more day of regional storms. Breezes come in on Thursday, scours out the moisture, and then we drop things by a couple degrees on Friday. We keep things under 110 on Saturday and Sunday, even though we warm up just a little bit. And it looks like Monday we are also off to a more manageable start. We're back to 110 on Tuesday. So a little bit of a roller coaster over the next week.
But we'll take that little break.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very
Every
little
degree
break.
matters after 105, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? We're counting.
And every percent of humidity.
There you go. Thank you for that. We have a live look at downtown Las Vegas for the newly revamped Life is Beautiful Block Party will take place in September. Some of the performers just announced: Jungle, Neil Francis, and Bad Bad Not Good. Tickets will be cheaper than previous years, they say, with 2 stages and no overlapping sets between the artists. We asked the CEO of Rolling Stone, they're in charge of Life is Beautiful, why they changed things this year.
We wanted to do something that celebrated the community this year and kind of met our core audience where they are in this moment, and put together a lineup that was fun and affordable and gave the opportunity for no overlapping sets and people to come and see every single act and be a little more focused and lean into the roots of Life is Beautiful as we evolve it and imagine what it'll be going forward.
Big Beautiful Block Party will take place in downtown Las Vegas on September the 27th and the 28th.
The Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup last night. The must-see moments coming up.
The winner of the Stanley Cup final decided in the final seconds of Game 7.
3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
That's the Florida Panthers winning their first ever Stanley Cup title. They beat the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7 last night.
So there was a slight moment when I'm hanging on and going, am I going to be able to get this thing over my shoulders, right? Because they're all beat up. Anyway, it's heavier than I thought.
Yeah, there you go. The Stanley Cup weighs 35 pounds. It's heavy. It's hard to get it over your head, not for these professional athletes. So Florida took a 3-0 series lead in this one. Edmonton came back to win the next 3 to tie it up 3-3, leading to the deciding Game 7 last night.
We're back in 30 seconds with a look at what's coming up.
From Sunset Park to Boulder City and everywhere in between, life is better when you're driving a Chevy from Henderson Chevrolet. Whether you're taking the kids to the big game or just out running errands, the team at Henderson Chevrolet has you covered. Our highly trained and knowledgeable experts will help you find the right car or truck for your budget and your lifestyle. We'll focus on the best price, service, and selection while you focus on living that Henderson life. Find new roads at Henderson Chevrolet.
Another student loan forgiveness plan on hold. I'm Matt Gelka in Washington with what it could mean for your payments coming up.
News 3 starts now.
Not valley-wide, but one part of the valley right now is getting pounded with some pretty good rain right now.
Yeah, must be nice. I think
Right.
we would love for that to happen in the valley.
I'm sure it's cooler there than it is everywhere else
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, that moisture really makes a difference, especially when it's not just humidity and it's falling rain. That's the moisture that we want here during monsoon season, right? And it made its debut today with the biggest storm being over the McCullough Range. As you could tell, it's kind of fizzing and falling apart, but I'm looking at another developing storm right behind that one that looks like it's really lighting off with lightning at the time. So we'll keep an eye on that cell right there, but we've got another one out in South Summerlin that might be producing some moderate rainfall, and another bigger cell also up the 95 out just east of Indian Springs. So it looks like these few storms should be the last ones for the next hour or so. And as we take a look at dinner time, we have the clouds that are clearing and the sunlight should come back. So what that'll do is provide that potential for convection again as the storms out east of Lake Mead collapse later on this evening. It could send some winds that lift up the heat and the moisture that will be sitting in the valley by then. So we have a chance of rain that'll taper off around 6, 7 o'clock, some quieter hours before a chance of rain returns after 8 and last all the way till 2 in the morning before our early morning hours get quiet. As we take a look out to our next 7 days, one more day of storms, but tomorrow's should just be limited to the mountain. Breezes come on Thursday, and that'll usher in some cooler weather and drier weather for Friday, but temperatures begin to warm again this weekend with temperatures around 109 and 108. Dana and Latoya.
All right, thanks so much, Ophelia. Vice President Kamala Harris making another stop here in Las Vegas. Harris and second gentleman Doug Emhoff, they will travel to Las Vegas for a political event that's Friday, June 28th. After the event, they'll head to Park City, Utah and Los Angeles for more campaign stops later in the day. Right now, the specific details of her visit not yet released. The U.S. Surgeon General says that gun violence is a public health crisis. Dr. Vivek Murthy's advisory comes after another summer weekend of mass shootings that left dozens of people dead or wounded. He calls for an assault weapons ban, universal background checks, industry regulation, and laws that would restrict guns in public spaces. Murthy's suggestions can't be implemented without legislation from Congress, which typically can't reach a consensus on gun control measures.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is on his way to a United States federal court in the Western Pacific Ocean. He is set to appear in court tomorrow in Saipan, the capital of the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. Commonwealth. This comes after Assange reached a plea deal with the United States. He has agreed to plead guilty to a felony espionage act charge as part of a deal to release him from prison in the United Kingdom. Assange is expected to be sentenced to the 5 years he has already served in the UK. With credit for time served, he'll be able to return to his home country, Australia.
Today marks 15 years since the death of music legend Michael Jackson. On June 25, 2009, the king of pop was found dead in his Los Angeles home from cardiac arrest. Jackson's death, which was caused by a lethal combination of sedatives and propofol, was ruled a homicide. Jackson was 50 years old.
President Joe Biden's promise to help Americans with student debt took another hit in the courts, as national correspondent Matt Galka tells us how a ruling this week will impact millions of student loan repayments.
A new program called the SAVE Plan. It's the most affordable student loan plan ever.
Large portions of President Joe Biden's student loan repayment plan are now on hold after 2 federal judges halted it. The ruling came about a week before millions of borrowers were set to see lower payments through the plan. Attorney generals in Kansas, Missouri, and other states argued the SAVE plan was an attempt to get around a Supreme Court ruling blocking student debt forgiveness last year.
It was a promise made by the Biden administration, but even Nancy Pelosi and other commentators on the left at the time said that they don't have the authority to do these types of things.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said the administration will continue pushing for debt relief, releasing a statement that read in part, Republican elected officials and special interests sued to block their own constituents from being able to benefit from this plan. Republicans have continually bashed the loan forgiveness efforts as bailouts on the backs of other taxpayers who paid their loans.
When the Supreme Court ruled against him, then he just said, hey, we'll figure a different way to do it. He is bypassing the other 2 branches of government to push an ideological view.
Around 4 million people qualified to have their loan repayment be zero under the SAVE plan because they didn't make enough money, and it reduced the payments of others based on income requirements. The judge's rulings temporarily stopped the administration from new student loan forgiveness. House Budget Chairman Jody Arrington says the administration's moves just keep piling on unsustainable debt.
The unilateral executive actions, the cost there is a total of $2 trillion. A third of which is the student loan bailout. So we're now at the highest level of annual deficit.
Multiple polls have shown that student loan forgiveness is a very divisive issue for voters. And a Bankrate survey for this month shows that about 1 in 5 voters say student debt will impact their vote. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Galka.
We would like to know from you on this Tuesday afternoon, do you agree with the court's decision to block President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan? Let us know what you think by heading on over to news3lv.com/question.
A former Spring Valley women's basketball star receiving an inspirational award. She says she's now placed for USC, and she was honored at the Collegiate Women's Basketball Awards. You got to see it.
She's a survivor, an inspiration, and she is here with us tonight. It is my honor to introduce the Honda Inspiration Award winner for 2024, Aaliyah Gales.
That's right, Aaliyah Gales named a Honda Inspiration Award recipient this year. If that name sounds familiar to you, you may remember her story. Back in 2022, while playing basketball for Spring Valley, she was shot multiple times at a house party in North Las Vegas. She underwent several surgeries and is now being recognized for all of her hard work and her ability to recover and also get back on that basketball court. Aaliyah played in 7 games for USC this past season, helping her team reach the Elite 8 in the NCAA tournament. She also received the Pac-12's Inspiration Award in the month of March.
She was in a wheelchair for a long time. It's good to see her up and around. Vashti Cunningham, a Bishop Gorman alum, is heading to the Paris Olympics, qualifying for her 3rd Olympics in the women's high jump yesterday afternoon at the U.S. Trials in Eugene, Oregon. And you see her dad behind her. Cunningham is the daughter of UNLV's greatest quarterback, Randall Cunningham. She barely made the U.S. team, securing 3rd place in a jump-off. We're only taking 3 jumpers to Paris. Again, her 3rd Olympic Games. She's in her mid-20s now.
Wishing her the best. Well, looking ahead, the Las Vegas Aviators, they're getting ready to party like it's the 1980s. Looking ahead to Thursday as the team hosts its next theme night, fans can look forward to hearing all the hits from the 80s, a costume contest, a surprise guest even, and more. The game is at the Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin, and tickets are still available.
Coming up in a few minutes, we are going road tripping. We have a look at all that Cedar City, Utah has to offer coming up.
But before we take a short break, here's Julie Moran with America Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Nokia.
I travel a lot and never want to be without my devices, my tablet, my cell phone, headphones. But the problem is that I hate bringing a ton of different chargers and cords with me every time, as you usually are always missing the very one you need. What if I told you that this one device could charge all three of these at once? The Rush Charge Universe is the perfect solution. It is a portable charger with 3 adapters that will have you covered for every device you use. There's Lightning, there's USB-C, and micro USB. And the best thing about the Universe is that you can continue, watch, I'm going to plug this baby in, continue using it while you use your device. There are no bulky cables. It also uses pass-through technology, so you can charge your Universe and your device at the same time. There's nothing more frustrating, than running out of battery when you need it, and Rush Charge can extend your battery for up to 26 hours. So cool. You don't need to bring all those different chargers. This is one and done, and it comes in a bunch of fun colors, so buy one for everyone in your family or buy one for every one of your bags. Well, right now, we're offering 50% off. You heard me right, 50% off on the Rush Charge Universe. Head to asadeals.com right now for this very exclusive offer.
Okay, time to change things up a little bit on this heavy Tuesday afternoon. We're revving up our engines, cruising back to Cedar City, Utah, taking in some cooler temperatures, a cool art scene, some good food, and even some fun shopping. Courtney Perna has more.
This road tripping segment is sponsored by the Cedar City Brian Head Tourism Bureau.
So what kind of road tripper are you? Do you like arts and entertainment, or maybe hiking and adventure? Well, you're in luck. Cedar City, Utah has it all, including cooler temps. Let's go. Road tripping all the way to Cedar City today. I'm in the Cedar City Visitor Center inside Daughters of Utah Pioneers. It's a great little museum just off the main area of the Visitor Center where you can learn about life in the West in the 1800s. Something that I've learned that I'm not really interested in, and I'm glad that I live in this time. This is Kaylee Pickering. She is the communications specialist for Visit Cedar City. Brian Head, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. It's not just this little museum. You have another one across the way here by the Visitor Center and all over town. Tell us about the art scene here.
Beyond our historic museums, we are also home to the Southern Utah Museum of Art. So in downtown, just outside of the theaters for Utah Shakespeare Festival, a huge white building designed by Brooks and Scarpa to mimic a slot canyon. So it's art within art. We always love that for them.
And if you do like more of the performing arts aspect, when you drive in, it says Cedar City, Festival City, USA, one of the biggest festivals you've probably heard of, the Utah Shakespeare Festival. Alas, poor Yorick.
Courtney.
Alas!
Courtney.
Poor Yorick.
This is Shakespeare. In Hamlet, this should be a skull. The text isn't great.
But the alas!
Yeah, we need less alas and more practice.
Got some tough love about my future career path from Don Jersey here from Utah Shakespeare Festival. Now, I tried quoting Hamlet, but now I'm actually going to quote our cameraman. He said, "This is so much cooler than I thought it would be. This is really cool."
It's so cool. It's 3 theaters. It's a studio 200-seat theater, 960-seat outdoor Shakespeare theater. It's a replica of Shakespeare's Globe. And behind us is a 760-seat indoor theater where we do our musicals, contemporary plays. We do more than Shakespeare here. We'll welcome about 115,000 people from all over the world this year to the festival. We're going to produce 7 plays. Most theaters produce 1 at a time. We produce 7 because we're out of our mind. There's nothing like it in the world. If you haven't done it, it'll change your life forever.
That's high praise, Don. Well, if I'm going to see a play tonight, I need something to wear. My girl Kaylee's back to help. Girl, I like shopping. I like shopping, so where would you send me?
I would send you to downtown Cedar City. There is a whole bunch of local businesses, cute little boutiques, clothing stores, and a winery, all within easy walking distance in downtown. Winery in Utah, yes.
Check that out. And what about the food? Because a girl just can't live on wine alone, right?
Sadly, yes. But there are some great spots in downtown as well. We're home to a lot of locally owned restaurants. They offer a wide variety of food choices. You can go from pizza to Thai within easy walking distance.
Time to eat. A lot of people forget that it's a lot cooler here in Cedar City than it is in Las Vegas, so you're gonna need a hoodie when you go stargazing or just hanging out in the higher altitude. I think this one is coming home with me. I'm gonna grab a citrine too. Here we go. See you next time on Road Trippin'. Ring me up.
Well, now we all want to know why she didn't bring us back any food.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't get a hoodie either.
I know, right? Come on, Courtney. All
There you
right.
go.
Well, we wouldn't want a hoodie this time of year anyway, right?
No need for those.
No.
Maybe an umbrella in some parts of town.
And sometimes a hoodie could serve the same purpose, even though after you get wet, that might be pretty uncomfortable too. So yeah, our first monsoon storm of the season, pretty exciting. It was a beautiful one, actually. Sat over the McCullough Range for 3 hours today. And here's a current look at it now. It has really in its final stages of life here as it fizzles out, and as thunderstorms collapse, they usually produce some gusty outflow winds. So current gusts around Las Vegas right now around 30 miles per hour, and they're about 20-25 up in the foothills. So here's that storm right now, barely producing any rain anymore, just south of Henderson. We were also watching a little cell out in Summerlin that kind of spread just to the north of Spring Valley. So folks in those neighborhoods could expect a few drops of rain, and it looks like that cell might be temporarily reloading. So it looks like we might have some pockets of heavier rain to the west of Spring Valley as well. But these few storms should be our last one for the afternoon before we dry out for a calmer couple hours for dinner time. But during those hours, we're also looking out to east of Lake Mead, where thunderstorms may be collapsing, sending us some outflow winds, and that might be the catalyst for a second round of storms tonight. So we'll take a break from stormy activity around 6-7 o'clock. After 8 o'clock is when we'll be looking to the skies again for a second round of storms. They might peak around midnight or so before gradually dying off overnight and drying out for a drier Wednesday. It looks like on Wednesday, thunderstorm potential does move out to the east, and the only spots that I'm worried about for storms tomorrow are up in the mountains. 109 degrees here in Las Vegas tomorrow, and as those storms also collapse, we can expect some gusty winds from time to time. Looking out to your next 7 days, just one more day of regional storms. 109 tomorrow. Thursday also 109, but breezy as we welcome in some drier air. What that'll do is take our moisture all out of here. We'll be a little cooler on Friday with a high around 107, and we'll hang around there for a weekend. Maybe slightly warmer, but at least not humid, sunny, and not windy or gusty. So your weekend will be hot, but at least it'll be quiet.
You had us at not humid and not gusty.
Exactly.
Like sold.
I was looking at a 17% humidity. That's about double where we were just a couple days ago.
Yes.
Yeah, you
There
feel
you
it
go.
too.
It's yucky.
We'll be right back. Amazon is teaming up with hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion for its 10th annual Prime Day. Company released a new song and video. It's Prime Day, that's what it's called, with Megan appearing in the video and rapping about the special deals. Two-day sales event open to Prime members, taking place on July 16th and 17th. Amazon calling the event the back-to-school shopping event. Company also announced it would offer early deals on merchandise from Megan's new tour collection. I'm wondering how much they had to pay her to do this.
I bet it's a pretty penny.
I bet it's a lot.
We would have been cheaper. Just saying.
They don't want us.
I know. Dang it.
At least not me.
Well, that does it for us here at News 3 Live at 3. We'll see you at 5.